Tonight is another night that I am planning to spend painting because that is what I love. And I was thinking about going back to my sketchbook where I draw all of my ideas and my dreams and everything that comes to my mind so that I can turn it into a painting. And the one that I want to go with today is one that specifically talks about one of my fears. Now, when I talk about fears, the first thing that comes to my mind are the deep, traumatic, dark ones like death. But this is not the case. I have one of those very commonly childish fears, which is fear of the dark. And I know that it is something that usually is linked to, being a kid and fearing monsters in your closet and needing a little nightlight. First of all, I will say that this is something that adults go through every day. This is very common and very normal. Thank you very much. But also, it is such a big hindrance for me because one of my biggest passions is astronomy. I love anything that has to do with the sky, especially the things you can see at nighttime. The stars, the moon, constellations, everything. So I am trying to work on it. I am trying to do some exposure therapy by myself. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go because I have no guiding or counseling. So I basically just want to push myself to be out at night and enjoy the stars. Because last time I did that, I enjoyed it for like 5 seconds and then I heard every single sound around me and went into a full panic and had to run back inside. But something I did do is I got an app on my iPad where I can track live all of the celestial events that are going on. And we're gonna do that right now. So the app is called Sky Guide, and basically it just shows you what's going on tonight. Shows you the current sky. You can move it around. You can see the constellations. You can tap on them. And it would even show you information on it. And it's really cool. It's so good to learn if you're interested in this kind of things, which I am. So I thought that tonight I would do a combination of multiple things. So we're gonna study a little bit about the celestial events of tonight, or because I don't think there's anything specific going on tonight, or some of the featured articles they have in the app right here. So they'll have, for example, sky sights of the month for November. They have Mars articles. They have a constellation of the month, so they just randomly pick a constellation and we learn about it. So yeah, we're gonna pick some articles and we're gonna do a little bit of studying because we are nerds here and we study for fun. But besides that, I am gonna work on a painting that I sketched and kind of planned the idea for a while back. And I got a little bit deep about it, so I'm gonna try to get in my serious mood for a second while I tell you the story behind it. But yeah. This is where I write all of my little stories and poetry and all that. So let's see. Now I wrote it in Spanish, so bear with me, I'm gonna translate. I called it Fear of the Night. It started as what I assumed to be just fear of darkness. But as the years went by, I realized that it wasn't limited to the absence of light, but also to the absence of the sun, of people awake, of my time running out before the next day, of being awake and entertaining my mind. But today it transformed in the reason for my anxieties. The fear of the dark is just one of the symptoms. I feel like I need to explain a little bit. So this I wrote back when I was still going through one of the worst anxiety attacks I've ever had in my life. It was so bad, it was actually the reason why I started medicating for the first time, and it pushed me to go to therapy. So in a sense, I'm trying to see the positive in every bad situation. It did come with something positive because therapy is for everybody, not only if you're sick, not only if you're going through a horrible time. It could have prevented a horrible time. So yeah, better late than never, but it was a hard time. And one of the things that I realized is that my sadness and my anxiety would come mostly at night. During the day, I would have random moments of difficulty, but always I could count on that anxiety coming at night. And it wasn't only a matter of darkness, even though this is a separate fear that kind of I feel, or I thought at the time, originated all of it. It was just a coincidence. Basically, what I understood later to be was more of an absence of what my life used to be, living with my parents, being in a household full of people, always happy. There's a lot of sounds around. I have a big family and we are very close. So that time at night where everybody was home from school, home from work, home from anything, it was actually where my house came alive. But now that I am in a more quiet place, it's more silent, it's kind of more noticeable at night, the absence of how my life used to be. And it's not a bad thing, it's something to get used to. Something that I learned in therapy is that any change brings its anxiety. It could have been the most positive change in the world and it would still bring anxiety. So it's normal, it's just I did not know how to handle it right. So before I started going to therapy, I started theorizing and all the reasons why it was the case. Why was I having these horrible anxiety attacks at night, and what was the cause of it? Because that's the first thing you want to do when you're going through any form of anxiety or any form of stress that it causes you to feel even physical illness. It's why, so that you can fix it. And I was just convinced that it had something to do with either my fear of the dark or my childhood traumas with the darkness. Now, even though I came to understand later that wasn't necessarily the case, it did not change the fact that I am still scared of the dark. And even though now that anxiety has been so much better and I can sleep perfectly now, thank God, thank medicine, thank my doctors, thank everybody that helped me, I still struggle with darkness. Now, the reason why that is a problem is different than before. It is not because I can't sleep anymore and I am super stressed. It's because I dream of being able to do something that is so accessible and free and available to almost everybody. And it's to lay down at night and watch the stars. I have such a crippling fear of the dark that just thinking about it makes me feel so uneasy, so uncomfortable. But it's something I desire to be able to do so much. And it's almost like something that I think is so beautiful and something that I know I would enjoy so much kind of mocks me every time I look up at night and I know that it's there and I know that I could, but I can't. So I kind of wanted to be able to translate that to a painting. I wanted to show through portraits because it is how I can express myself best. What I feel like I see when I look at the stars and how they look back at me. So that is what this painting today is about. I am so obsessed with astronomy in general. I have books. I love saving a bunch of pictures and printing them and having them everywhere. Anything that has to do with astronomy. And even on TV, on YouTube videos, in video games, my favorite thing to do is just see night skies. It sounds like such a ridiculous thing. I don't know. At least maybe that's just me. But it's something that you can see every single night. It's something so real. I feel sometimes like when I talk about it, I'm talking about unicorns. But it's because that's how difficult it is for me and my fear of the dark. I know it's something that is not permanent. I know it's something that has a solution and that it can be handled. But right now, I haven't done it yet, so I am gonna do what I do best, and it's make art out of it. But yeah, that was the story behind it. I wanted to share it as I share the process of me making that painting as well. And hopefully you understand, relate to, I mean, I want to say hopefully you relate because I don't want you to have these fears, but I hope that you can understand what I'm trying to express because I struggle with that. Why is it so unfair? Why is life so unfair? I just want to see the stars. Now, I'm going to pull out my app and we're gonna see what we have for today because I also want to study. Okay, we're gonna see what is the constellation of the month. So for this month, it is Capricornus. So this is pretty cool. They have the origin of the name, they have the history of it, what is the appearance of the actual constellation if you were to see it by naked eye or binoculars or small telescopes, some images. It's pretty cool, pretty in-depth too. I'm gonna start taking notes. I have this journal that you may have seen in a couple of my other videos. It's the same one where I take notes when I am preparing to paint something with some historical meaning, like that one time I painted Medusa. So it says how the Capricornus is the 10th sign of the zodiac. It's the second faintest zodiacal constellation, only slightly less conspicuous than Cancer, and its name is Latin for horned like a goat, and it refers to a mythical creature that is part goat and part fish, a figure known throughout antiquity. Capricornus has only 3 moderately bright stars in a dim delta wing pattern of stars that fills the void between the teapot and Sagittarius and the water stream of Aquarius. So it shows an image here explaining what that means of its location. You can see it? Yeah. And it's really cool too because it shows you which are its brightest stars. So here we have the constellation. We have Capricornus over here. And you can tap on each individual star here. So obviously we can see the brightest one here being oh my god, pronunciations. Algidai? Now, the history. It is uncertain when Capricornus came to be a part of the zodiac, but it is depicted as a sea goat in Babylonian boundary stones dating before 2000 BC. The torso, with the horned upper torso, it symbolized the sun and how it begins to ascend on the sky like a goat toward the northern hemisphere spring. While the half on the bottom, that is the fishtail, it symbolizes how it was still partially submerged in the southern celestial waters, which signified that raining and the floods could still happen during that winter time. So yeah, I thought I would include that little bit of a fact on what I am studying today. For now, I will work on more art and more painting to heal my inner child and my outer adult. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully you can also heal your inner child and your outer adult. Bye!